Hi, good morning. It's been a little while. This is Dr. Eileen Jason, ARTA Consulting. You can check out my website, www.artaconsulting.com. I help individuals and organizations with behaviors and becoming more aware of individual behaviors and group behaviors and how to interact more effectively with others. I started a four-part series, finished series one, part one and two, on the different types of behaviors. This is actually part three of that. So we looked at the dominant types of behavior. We looked at the influencing type of behavior. Today I'd like to focus on the conscientious type of behavior. So from a work environment perspective or a typical conscientious type of person, when we think of someone who's conscientious, we think of someone who's very detail oriented, little reserved, more of sort of the I don't need to be the center of attention kind of person, but someone who's very details are very important to them, and they want to make sure, sometimes to a fault, that they get what they're doing right. To recognize someone who's very conscientious, oftentimes, again, they're very reserved. They're much more task-oriented as opposed to people-oriented. In addition, they have a lot of notes that they take. They often, when they're asked to research something, they research it very well, look at all of the sides before they actually make a decision. Um, from a profile perspective, the conscientious person is recognized by being very accurate, cautious, they have very high standards. They prefer their work environment to be very structured, very organized. You often can tell someone who is conscientious of their desk or their working area, very organized, very clean. Their pace is a little bit slower as opposed to someone who may be dominant or influencing. They like to take their time in making their decisions and also for change specifically. The person who's very conscientious does is okay with making a change, but they do it a little bit slower, and they need to know specifically the reasons why that change is being made. They're motivated by correctness. They want all of their work to be correct. They want others' works to be correct. Note, if you work for someone who's very conscientious or has that type of behavior, they're going to want details provided to them. They measure their progress by getting it right. Exactly, what am I doing? Is it right? Did I do it right the first time? Their fears are that they be criticized. Their work actually is criticized and what they've done and what they've worked so hard to do. They're they're kind of irritated by surprises and unpredictability. The conscientious person is very even paced, very slow paced. They don't want someone making changes on them as they're in the middle of something. Their decisions are very deliberate. Their major limitations, however, they could be overly critical of others. So be aware of that from someone who's a very conscientious person. Um, another ideal environment for that conscientious person is a private space with little or no interruptions. The conscientious person is very happy and content with sort of being by themselves and getting their work done, don't need to be the center of attention. Um, they they uh, they want opportunities for critical thinking. They also want clearly defined goals and expectations and processes. They focus very much on quality. They're very much into the business-like environment, and they want opportunities to demonstrate their expertise. And of course, they want sufficient time to get things done. From a body language perspective, they typically ask why. Specifically, they act very cautiously. They don't rush into things. They're very reserved. Again, controlled gestures. You're not going to see someone who's typically a conscientious behavioral type of person be very quick in their movements. It's very slow. They're perfectionist. They're very much into solo, can work on their own. Give them what they need to do, explain in detail what it is that they need to do, and they'll get it done. They need to be in control as well. Some of the things to look out from rewarding someone who's conscientious. They do appreciate praise, but they have to be in front of the people that they admire and not just do it in front of anybody. In order to reward them, what they would appreciate, ironically enough, is a leather planner, meaningful books. Historical documents or heirlooms. They certainly can appreciate a quiet working environment. They want approval for their competence. They reward words that enhance their reputation, sort of some type of engraved stationery, computer software that improves efficiency, sort of on the side or out of the box thinking, maybe some type of conventional poetry or symphony or opera tickets. A conscientious person would appreciate that. If you have someone who has a conscientious behavior in a leadership position, their strengths are that they're very objective and they're very fair to everyone. They want to make sure that everything is seen at all sides and heard from all sides. They develop logical processes. They're very good at that. They're very consistent, and they definitely adhere to standards and, again, processes, able to keep confidences. They provide many details when assigning projects. Again, beware, on the other hand, if you're working for someone who is conscientious and very detail oriented, and you recognize your behavior as not being so, you need to learn to communicate more effectively with that person, and vice versa. I've worked with leaders who are actually conscientious in their behaviors and they're very detail oriented, and we've had to work together very successfully, understanding other people's behaviors and learning to communicate more effectively with them to make sure that they get things done. Um, so if you find that conscientious behavior is if they're lacking flexibility, they may seem overly perfectionist, that conscientious person, um, hampering the creativity because of the desire to stick to established rules and procedures. So being a conscientious person is extremely beneficial if you're looking to get something done and you're looking to get something done correctly. Again, the person who's conscientious is more task oriented as opposed to being people oriented. Not that they don't get along with people, they're much more inclined to be in a smaller social group of people, and again prefer to be alone to get their job done with in their work environment and also in their personal environment. So I hope that helps. This is actually part 3, conscientious. I am going to finish up part 4, which will be on the steadiness behavior. And then we'll talk about, hopefully the next series will be what work would benefit you for each of your different types of behaviors. Again, if you like to get an assessment done, or you're interested in any other of my offerings, please look to my website, artaconsulting.com, or feel free to talk to me or call me directly or email me. My email address is eileenjason, EILEENJASON @verizon.net, and my telephone number is area code 856-506-5159. Thanks.